Bayou 95.7, New Orleans' only classic rock. The John Osterlind Morning Show is brought to you by the most ordinary man in New Orleans, and Lamarck Ford. Here's a headline you don't see very often. 14th human foot washes ashore in Canada. Like nearly all of the 13 human feet that had mysteriously washed up on Canadian shores before it, the 14th foot appeared unexpectedly on the banks of the Salish Sea in British Columbia. This time a man was walking the beach and he discovered the appendage last Sunday afternoon trapped in a mass of logs, according to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. The 14th human foot has just washed ashore in British Columbia out there. They have no idea what's happening. They have no idea how many more. But this particular time, the police did not specify if it was a left foot or a right foot. What's very curious about this particular one, foot number 14 was clad in a hiking boot. But all the other 13 feet before were wearing sneakers. So suddenly this is different. This wouldn't have bothered the police up there in Canada if this was if foot number 14 came in a sneaker, because they'd be like, all right, we but now all of a sudden it's a hiking boot.
This is an Osterlind show alert, by the way.
Brewster, this is a mystery that is just growing there in Canada. The Pacific Northwest, all of a sudden, these feet and authorities, they don't know.
Well, to be fair, what else ever happens there?
It's a good point.
It's like a slow news country or region.
You know, and this isn't the first time we've talked about it on this show, because this has been going on now for about a decade. This is the 14th foot in the last 10 to 11 years. Let's put it this way. This is more real than let's say, Bigfoot, because there's been one picture of Bigfoot that we've seen in our history. This 14 feet in a decade. Authorities are alarmed up there. This is quite suspicious, said one of the Canadian Mounted Police.
Well, thank you, Captain Obvious.
Well, finding 1 foot is like 1,000,000 to 1 odds. So just think, all of a sudden in 10 years, 14 feet have washed ashore in British Columbia up there. They thought they had a pretty good idea what was happening. At least the 13 feet before had sneakers on them. This had a hiking boot. This throws, you talk about a monkey wrench into this foot problem. This started in 2007 when a foot came up there, and then another foot, and then all of a sudden over the next year, Brewster, 4 more feet would appear in the region's inlets and beaches. Investigators logged each shoe's model and size. And then you had men's blue and white Nike running shoe, size 11. Woman's blue and white New Balance running shoe, size 7.
I wear New Balance, just coincidentally.
They just kept coming, but again, they were all sneakers until this last one this past weekend, and it was a hiking boot. And now it's got the Canadian Mounties scratching their heads. 14 feet in all have washed ashore in British Columbia over the past decade or so. And they figure 8 have been identified as belonging to 6 people. So,
whoa,
yeah.
What?
Well,
8 of the feet have been identified as belonging to 6 people.
Yeah, instead of 8 people, 8 different people lost 1 foot. No, so they're figuring at least 2 people. If they figure 6 of at least 2 people, they've got both their right and their left feet.
They're footless. They don't have a foot to stand on.
No. I remember talking about this before on the show. I think when they got to the 8th or 9th foot, I was like, wait, something's going on up there. These first 4 or 5 feet, all right, could be crazy Canada. Who knows what's going on up there? But, now we're up to 14 feet. And they don't know. I mean, do you think a boat crashed? Barb McClintock. She's with the Canadian Royal Mounted Police. She says, quote, "We pretty well think we know what happened in most of these cases. A lot of this is simply the quelling of the public imagination." Well, wait a minute, slow down here. Now, don't give me some hyperbole, cops in Canada. This is a big deal when 14 feet with shoes on them just wash ashore, the British Columbia shore up there in Canada, and all of a sudden you're starting to say now that we have an imagination, the public. No, I think you have a problem up there with 14 human feet with shoes on them. Don't blame our imagination. That happened. And she went on to say, this is very unfortunate, and they're all very sad cases. Well, yeah, if you could find the rest of their bodies, you could find out what happened. If you have any idea where these feet are coming from, and just when you thought you had a line on something there, 13 of them had sneakers on them, all of a sudden this past weekend comes up, and it's got a hiking boot? I don't know about you, Brewster, but I'm kind of freaked out right now. So anyways,
we'll kick this around.
Yeah, we'll try to find out what's going on up there in Canada. It's the John Osterlind Morning Show here on Bayou 95.7.